that is a very welcome 3 points.
Yeah, very, very important 3 points for Sevilla, and they hope that that will mean that they are starting as they mean to go on, finishing this game with 3 points. Okay, let's just get a little bit more reaction to what we start. I mean, it's been pretty eventful for that opening game.
Yeah.
Sevilla against Rayo Vallecano. We know there's drama behind both of the sides. Luis, for your namesake, Luis Garcia, this is a very, very important 3 points regardless of how it came about.
Yeah, exactly. For Sevilla and all the situation that they go between the fans and the board, it was a must-win for Luis Garcia to start well the season. A lot of problems also during the preseason. They had a few good games, but the early on the season, if you were playing at home, what you want is to start like this. Last year they struggled so much to try to stay in La Liga, and this year what Luis Garcia is trying to do is to make it solve. They brought a few players. I think Guridi today. There is one of the new players did a great job playing first as a second striker, and in the second half better on as holding midfielders, being creative and helping the team on the distribution, on the build-up. Luis Garcia has got a lot of work to do, but you could see that the depth on the squad today, it was very important, bringing on in the second half another 2 players that they just arrived to Sevilla. One of them, Vargas, probably on his way out. There's been a few rumors about him leaving the club. There are going to be a few offers, and that's what Sevilla is trying to do. He's trying to bring young players from the academy or quality and talented players, but I don't know if that is going to be enough to maintain the stability of the club. So very important 3 points. And on Rayo Vallecano, the problem is still there. They managed to do an amazing job last season. Going to be difficult once again to make that the miracle, because with all the problems they got with the stadium, the fans and the board once again, there is a lot of problems inside there. So I'm not sure if the players are going to be able to maintain it during a long season.
For me, that's not a foul.
So Rayo were robbed.
Yeah, you could say that, but then Sevilla had a penalty wrongfully disallowed later on in the half. And I know it's not like for like, and going 2 up changes the game, and getting a penalty to make it 2-1 again changes the momentum. So it's not an exact science, but if you're Rayo, that's an opportunity sprint.
Yes, Luis Garcia, thank you so much for being with us. We no doubt hearing a lot more from you as La Liga unfolds, match day 1 and match day 2, because we're seeing quite a few games in a mixed up order right now. Stick around with us, we'll explain it all to you.
First of all, I am very proud of my players, because we did enormous efforts, and this is something that I have to say about my players. We start very well the match with 1 goal after our pressing. That is our identity. And after, obviously, we are very frustrated, because finally 1 point is 1 point, is something positive. But when you lose because 2 penalties in the last moment, it's very frustrated. So this is the point that we don't like, no?
Here he is, the man himself. Sid, what a game that was at today to open the season in La Liga. So much drama, big refereeing decisions. Talk us through some of the big moments and what the reaction was like afterwards.
Yeah, and a fantastic reaction as well. That was the main thing. The Sánchez Pizjuán, which is a great stadium when it's really up for it, when it's in the mood. And by the end of today, they're in the mood. There were a few frustrated moments in the first half, of course, when they had the penalty that was given to them and then taken away. There was a feeling they didn't play particularly well in the first half, but in the second half, they improved dramatically. Actually, it was interesting speaking to Luis Garcia, the Sevilla manager, after the game. He said that Rayo had surprised them with the way that they'd approached the game and the way that they'd applied the press on the Sevilla team. So he said at halftime we had to change the system, not just the players, but the system, to really go at them, to really find a way of getting hold of the ball. And I thought they largely succeeded in doing so, albeit it took a couple of penalty decisions. And the second one, at least, live, I thought was a very, very clear penalty in the last minute. And then watching the replay, I thought it was significantly less clear than I thought at the time.
What does the result mean then, Sid? Because we talked about going into this game, how both teams have a lot of drama going on in the background. For Sevilla, how important those 3 points are, given the way last season finished for them, they found themselves in a relegation battle. And for Rayo, under a new coach and with all the problems they've got going on with their stadium, what does a loss to start the season mean for them?
Yeah, I mean, starting with Sevilla, I think one of the things that Luis Garcia was really keen to do in yesterday's press conference before the first game of the season was to say to everyone, look, we have to look at this from a point of view of reality. There's going to be a handful of youth team players in the first team. We've only got 17 first team players available. We're at least 3 or 4 signings away from where we want to be. We don't have the kind of money. He even made the point, he said, look, this isn't just us going to first division clubs and then them telling us a price and us going, oof, we can't play that. It's us going to second division clubs and asking the price for a player and then thinking, oof, we can't pay that either. So he's trying to get people to see a reality, to say, look, don't expect us to be anything more than a team that's fighting for survival. And if we have that attitude, we will succeed. We'll be able to do it. But we can't go into this thinking we are better than we are, and so we have to fight. And so I think today's 3 points will be really important, because as he made the point pre-game, these points are as worth as much as they are in the week 12, week 32, or week 38. From Rayo Vallecano's point of view, well, as you heard there, Beñat San Jose talking about how he feels that they're playing reasonably well. He wants them to be a little bit more direct than in previous seasons, but they know those difficulties they had. That said, they've known those difficulties for years now, and they live with them. So if they can overcome those, if they can make that something that brings together the squad and the coach and the fans, maybe against the ownership of the club, but brings them together, then perhaps they can find a solution on the pitch.
Okay, good stuff. Were you surprised there when you just saw Sid's interview with Rayo's coach at how measured he was, given some of the decisions that didn't go his way in this game?
Absolutely. I thought he could feel very hard done by, kind of given how things played out over 90 minutes. And well, to Sid's point, or Luis Garcia's point, that these 3 points mean as much now as they do in week 12 or whenever down the season. These losses, as difficult as they may be to take, are sting just as much now in week 1 as they do in week 12, as they do in week 32.
Do you think Wenger would have dealt with that, Kieran? Arsene Wenger.
Oh no, he wouldn't have been happy with that. That was a robbery, to be honest, I have to say.
Yeah, tough for them. Sid, something else we saw was new players making a difference for Sevilla today. We saw Guerrero step up and take a penalty and make a difference. Tell us a little bit more about Robbie Orr as well, a Scottish player, coming on and drawing the foul that led to that penalty.
Yeah, during the foul, I mean, we can watch replays back and decide whether it's a foul or whether he goes over a little bit too easily. And I must say, live, I thought it absolutely was a penalty. And then watching the replay, I have to say, I think it probably wasn't, although I'm still a little bit unsure about it. He's really exciting from Sevilla's point of view. They spent a lot of money on him. They were talking about 7 million euros for a club that really doesn't have the money. They really like the profile of striker that he is. They think he's a different type of player with a presence in the area that they haven't got. A guy that scored 20 goals in 20 games for the Swedish league leaders at the moment, and has played really, really well. Has been playing, of course, the league since February, so in theory is in a good position to get up and running. Although Luis Garcia post-game was saying that, you know, he felt that he was kind of looking around and a bit overawed by it all. He said, look, this guy's had only 1 training session and doesn't speak much Spanish. And so knowing when to run, knowing when to hold, knowing what movement to make. He said there's moments where Osso gets the ball on the left wing, and he says, and Robbie doesn't know is this guy good at crossing with his left foot, or is he going to have to turn back? So you don't know about the timing of the run. So it will take a while for him to be the player that they want him to be. And who knows, maybe he won't get there. But they're really excited because they think the skill set he's got justifies them paying the kind of money that, in truth, this club can't really afford to pay at the moment. And so there is a real excitement about him.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing more from him. And no doubt Craig Burley and Stevie Nicol will be interested to see how he fares at Sevilla as well. Sid, thank you so much for being with us. We're glad you got a very dramatic one for the first game of the season. We look forward to hearing a lot more from you throughout La Liga's season now that it's back. And these are the games you can enjoy. Racing Santander taking on Villarreal, Espanyol Levante, Deportivo against Elche, and Atleti taking on Malaga. Plenty of games to enjoy on ESPN Plus now that Spanish football is back. And then we'll see the big boys in action next weekend, both away from home. Espanyol host Real Madrid, Elche host Barcelona. Our coverage will begin at 3 p.m. for both matches. ABC, ESPN Plus Deportes and the app. And we will have a presence down there for you. Dan Thomas and Alejandro Moreno are putting on their sun hats and heading out to Spain.